we used to be around what 17 for weeks, and then
Yeah,
it all changed around. So we're live, by the way. So
we are live.
we are nice. Whoops. You are now live, it's saying.
We're live. Awesome. Happy Monday.
It is. It's tomorrow, what, April Fools?
Oh, it is April Fool's tomorrow, isn't it? It
Yeah,
is.
crazy, huh? How fast? I mean, the first quarter of 2025 is coming to a close.
It is. It is. First quarter. Scary, isn't it?
It really is.
Days are moving. Deals are happening. People are getting deals all over the place. I can tell you that. I've been
Yeah, you
seeing.
should have. Yeah, they are. I mean, it is happening. I mean, so I Mondays at 5:30 Eastern Standard until like 7. We do a deal. We do a weekly coaching call, and what was happening is we were analyzing this guy's deal, and he's a wholesaler that's in the program, and he actually has a sweet deal. It's in Mississippi, Boise, and it's actually posted there in the seller finance group. You can see it today, but the thing's cash flowing $850 a month, right out of the bat. And the guy wants to sign it for like, $5,000. I'm like, dude. He's like, oh, it needs some light cosmetics, and he's roughly about 10K in cosmetics. And he's giving the seller 10K and he's paying the realtor some money. And we went through the analysis, and he's only going to make $5,000 on assignment. And we went through the numbers on it. He's going to make $107,000 staying in the deal instead of just doing an assignment. And he's going to cash flow, and that's part of it. But he's going to cash flow 800, and I think it was $847. Let's just say 850. So he's going to cash flow $850 a month on that thing, and he'll make roughly about $4,000 on the front end. So it's
Heck
just
yeah.
insane that he's doing that. So let me change the setting here. So the speaker shows, and now I'm
There you
showing my
go.
face up here. So, anyways, yeah, that was pretty interesting how we talked about that and we went through it. So these guys are doing well. I mean, we're seeing a lot of deals out there right now where a lot of fix and flip guys can't sell their homes. They're ones. So we're trying to structure some deals, getting some of them over on it. So we'll see how all that plays out. I'm kind of interested in that. So it's exciting. It's definitely exciting. So how you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good, doing good. We had a little tornado last night, so it went through down the road. We have a camper park, and a couple campers got flipped over and everything. So now it's time to go look at some properties, and if people don't want to deal with the damage, we might throw some offers at them. So not right now. We want to wait a minute. I don't want to hop on them as soon as the tornado hits them, but uh, if they don't want to deal with damage, we can help them out. So
Yeah. Cool. Hey, we got some people coming in, and then I guess some people over on Facebook too.
yep, there we go. There we go. Welcome in over on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, please feel free to drop us where you're tuning in from. I'm over here in Cincinnati. Mark, where you at?
Well, now I just got back. I was in Lake Norman, North Carolina this weekend. Beautiful. But now I'm back home in Boca Raton, and it's a little warm. I landed and I was like 90 degrees. I was like, phew. Tashin, how you doing, man? He's been in my program, and
Okay,
he's up in Buffalo.
Hey,
Buffalo,
what's
New
up?
York.
What's going on?
How you been, man? I haven't talked to you in a little bit.
I'm doing all right. Working on some deals, looking at some stuff, you
There
know,
you go.
that's the everyday thing, analyzing some deals, making sure they work out.
Yep. Now your Buffalo market, I know that market was still holding strong. How's it doing now? I haven't looked up there in a couple months.
It's doing pretty good. It's
Is
doing,
it?
it's been on track to do, good things, I would say, ever since COVID was over. So, we've been doing a lot of appreciating. We got a new mayor now, so that's, changing a lot of things as well. We had the same mayor for like 25 years. So we're getting some new blood in there, actually, invested in some of these projects that should have been invested in 10 years ago.
Oh, I think you're starting to do. Were you doing something with a senior living or house with seniors or something? If I
Yeah, we're
recall.
Yep, we're looking at a couple properties for like the senior group home strategy and residential assisted living, stuff like that. So,
Well, baby boomers, down here, remember the Golden Girls? That's good right
uh,
now, just I know a couple other people doing it, and here in Florida doing extremely well with it. And you get anywhere in Florida anywhere between $3,500 and $7,500 per room. Depends on the area. I'm sure your market's a little different, but Florida's every market's kind of different. So that's good. I'm glad you joined us. Thanks for coming on.
yeah, thanks for putting it on Facebook. That's what reminded me it was going on. I seen it on Facebook first, and then I just jumped into Zoom. So,
Cool. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free. I know somebody had a question here I think.
But where did
Yeah.
you see a question at? I didn't see
I
one.
th I
Or did
thought
I?
Dimitri in the Facebook group, I
Oh,
thought,
he just said looking for conversation starters to open the ideas on selling on terms, which sellers list have been working well lately.
oh, I see John over there too, Northern Tampa, but we'll come back to there in a second. So, the open for conversations, what I like doing for me, um, I like, I always, first of all, and Tashina will probably know this in the group and wherever there's two things I always want to know. Why are they selling or what they're planning on doing in the capital? So what I always like to do is, ask them, describe the property of the home, like, hey, as I'm walking through, because a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, it's on Facebook." Well, can you walk me through the door? And like, if I'm walking through the door, what am I looking at? That type of thing. And then I like to ask questions about the neighborhood and see if, if they start talking about the neighbors and stuff like that, then you can kind of determine on what kind of person they are. If they're a head heart, then I like to go, well, it sounds like a beautiful property. Why would you want to sell? That tells you their motivation. So that will pull it out. It sounds like a nice property. Why would you want to sell? That's one of the biggest things. So you're in the beginning, you're trying to gather the information to understand the motivation and see that's really the help for the seller financing. And then I like to ask the question, would you be willing to rent the property to us for a few years and then we close on it? We'll take care of the maintenance and repairs. I like to dumb it down, and if they say something on, oh yeah, I would be open to it, then I know they'll be open to some type of seller financing term strategy. So that's how I like to do it. And then and really find out their motivation and if you can figure out why they're selling and do they need the capital to move to the next property? If so, how much capital? And figure ways how you can help them out to get that capital. I talked about a story not too long ago. Actually, it's been about a year now, actually. I say not too long ago, but this gentleman needed money for a camper and he had great credit. And I had him end up taking a loan out for the camper, and I made the payments on the camper on his behalf, and I still cash flow $475 a month. So those are the type of things that I like to listen, figure out what's the problem, and how I can be creative enough to come up with a solution for them. Did I help you there? I guess so. Cool. And there's
Awesome.
John. How you doing, John? Over there in Florida, north of Tampa.
Lutz,
So
yes, sir.
yeah, that's a good
Awesome.
market.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We have last week we had some really good questions. We had lots of questions last week. And if you're over here on Zoom, feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, and we can ask and have a dialogue going and we can get things rocking. But Mark, I have a question. Say I have like 20K, right? I'm looking. I was doing the Burr method, and I'm ready to start doing that to where I don't have to have as much capital down and locked up in one deal that's under construction or under rehab.
Yeah.
What should I do to start rolling?
What I would recommend is jumping on, like for me, I like working with realtors. I will work with some investors, like wholesalers, but I don't like to work with a lot of them because sometimes they're a little bit too greedy in their assignment fees. But you could jump onto some groups, but start reaching out to sellers. I would, especially if you don't have a lot of capital for marketing. For me, I love jumping on Zillow for sale by owner leads, Redfin, and look for properties sitting on the market for like 60 days, 90 days now in some cases. The one that we were just underwriting earlier, the house was sitting on the market for 200 days. And she's finally hurting, and she's originally wanted to sell it for cash. And she finally came around to the terms. The wholesaler, he still didn't do the greatest on negotiating. He offered too much, in my opinion, too much upfront, 10K to the seller and then 8K to the realtor, it's 18K. Um, and then it still needs roughly about $10,000 of cosmetics. So I would have gone back and renegotiated a little bit lower of a down payment with the seller. And then I would turn around and then go out there and try to get low capital as down as possible, and then use my end buyer's capital to get into the property. That's kind of how I would kind of go through that. I see we have a question in here. So Tashin, go ahead, man.
So my question for you is, when you're able to get subject to deals and you're able to pretty much get them for zero down. I'm working on a deal right now. They're behind on the mortgage payments. Their FHA, they're currently negotiating to get everything pushed to the back end on their own and then considering selling the property. So in this case, we have the opportunity to have a deal with zero down. Properties worth about 300,000 and the estimated mortgage is about 240 payoff total balance. Um, what are some of the things that you should be aware of and concerned about? And if you're trying to build a portfolio, should you be, holding on to these deals that, are next to nothing entries, or should you be, trying to wholesale them and get a lot of capital reserves if you don't have those reserves currently?
Sure. Well, I'm not big at wholesaling, seller financing, or subject to. I don't do those. I always want to stay in those as best as possible. Um, even if I even if I wrap it or sell it and put a lease option tenant buyer into the property, and use their capital to get into the deal. So, excuse me. So the number one thing I look at if I want to hold the property, yes, entry fee, especially if you get in very little, you're going to have a little bit of closing. What's your
Mhm.
cash flow going to be, and what's the condition of the property? Because so those factors kind of come into play. Because and if you don't, you should have some reserves. If you don't have some reserves, then I would look at possibly wrapping it or doing a lease option and getting my end buyer to put some money down and hold that money in reserves, or being a capital partner. It really depends on the deal. I have to underwrite it and see, if it's a great cash flow, then I might bring a capital partner in because I want to hold it long term. You're saying that's you can pick it up for 240, you said? I think you said.
So we can pick it up. Yeah, 240 is the payoff amount on the property. It's got an unpaid principal balance right now of 204. 204 and change.
And then the 240 is going to be the rears that are being added to the loan. Okay, got it.
Yep.
And then what do you think the as is value?
As is value, I would say, I mean, it's a little dated, but it's in, good condition. So it could use fix up, but it doesn't really like need to be. So I would say as is value is probably somewhere around 200,000. Um,
Okay. So you're overpaying on the property.
and
Okay.
interest rate right now is 4.5 on this one. And it'll rent between 25 to 2,800, and our mortgage payment is just under 2,300. But we would
It's not a
have
great,
pretty much
yeah, it's not,
zero entry
yes,
besides closing costs.
it's not a great deal. I mean, you're paying $40,000 over than what the property is worth. There's no plan B. If something happens, you have to sell it. Um, for me, I would probably pass on it, because of you're paying $40,000 over. Even if you try selling it to another buyer, I mean, it's just because of the paying the rears in the back. Um, and you can't really, you're making $300 a month. I don't know. I would probably maybe bring it to a realtor and give it to a realtor, and then a realtor give me some deals back. But again, it's hard. You're gonna have a hard time. And this is why they're willing to walk away, because they can't sell it for what it's worth. I mean, they have to bring, you know, if it's worth 200, right? And on the market, and then they go back and forth to a retail, it's really, you might even want to look at possibly doing a short sale, buying this on a short sale type of situation. That's another option. But it's, I wouldn't touch it, quite frankly. You're overpaying for the property. That's me. But why? What were you thinking of doing? An assignment?
So, I don't like to do assignments with sub
Uh,
twos. I've never assigned a sub two, but I've watched people assign sub twos and it just be horrible for the seller. So I don't like to do sub twos. I was more
and it,
so
and it's also horrible for a buyer paying 40K way over market value.
100%.
You
So,
know,
I was possibly considering looking at it just because it would be like almost a zero entry fee if they're able to move everything to the back with a little bit of cash flow. Um, but and that's where the 240 comes in. But I had also looked at maybe doing a novation. Like I said, the why I say 200 worthwise is because if I came in there and updated everything, I'm probably gonna put about $50,000 in renovations just with updating the property. But
but
it's
if you put but if you put 50K in, you're just going to be ahead by 10K. You're not gonna, because if you put so you're putting in, this is how I look at it. You're gonna be putting in 240, right? And then plus 50K.
so I
That
wouldn't
that
have
you're gonna
put
be
the Yeah, so I wouldn't have done like for me the innovation. I basically would have just contacted an agent or either flat fee listed it and put it on market to see, what MLS buyers are willing to do, or maybe somebody that was interested in possibly a lease option if there's very little entry fee. But
yeah,
again, we don't
yeah,
want to have people, overpaying. But I would say ARV after updated is probably 300 to 320.
yeah. But still, I don't know. I would probably do a short sale, or like what Rob's saying in the seller financing group. Sell the note. It's just, so you think I would probably do a short sale. That's my
Mhm.
opinion. Um, Especially if you're gonna put 50K into it, you want to try to make some money out. Because even if you put 50K into it, you're gonna be at net. There's not a lot of spread there, and the market could shift. We don't know what the market's gonna be doing here in the next few months. And then you get into it and you're starting to do all this work, or even if you another fix and flip guy may even have some issues with this one. So I would, if I was going to go down this rabbit hole, I would probably look at doing a short sale, because if you show evidence of all the work that needs to be done.
hmm
You know,
Yeah, I've got a guy that deals with like the short sale negotiations stuff. It's-
that's probably what I would do. I wouldn't even don't even think I would do even a subject to on this thing. I probably, it's too much risk involved, in my opinion. You
okay.
know, I know anybody else. I know Rob had some great some advice there, so I like it. So thank you, Rob, for sharing on that. But yeah, I totally agree on that one.
What was Rob's advice? Because I'm on Zoom, so I don't
Yeah,
see.
he was saying the same thing, short sale, and then he also said maybe do a subject to and then sell the note. But again, there's no, even if you take that property back, say you put an end buyer in a property and they default, even if you sell the note, you're still going to have that first position. You're going to the lender what the property's worth. And I don't know. And then all the fix and flip guys putting money, a lot of people are not putting money in there. So, the negative equity, he's saying the same thing, negative equity, I would run. Like I said, I wouldn't touch it, me personally. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole, maybe the only option I see is a short sale, because it's your $40,000 equity upside down. I mean, that's huge on only a $200,000 home. You know, it's just the lender, the seller's going to even have a problem. The only option I see is a short sale. For you as an investor, I wouldn't waste my time and energy. There's so many deals out there. I mean, this is a buyer's market and seller financing. Time and energy you put into this, you could probably do 2 to 3 other deals.
Right. I definitely
That's my
appreciate the
opinion. I'm
feedback.
giving you my opinion, man.
Nah, 100%. That's
It's
what we're
great.
here
I
for,
mean,
is to get
I
opinions.
yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people just willing to just give you the property because of these type of situations. You can come up. I've seen. I can see about two or three of these a week. People reaching out to me. You know,
100%. Yeah, no, they're
start
out there for sure.
start adding short sales to your two belt. That's what I would recommend. Cool.
Yep,
Good luck. Keep me posted. I want to know how you make out in that thing. If
for
you go
sure.
down that round hole.
I will
What's the
let you
best?
know.
What's the best way to do a short sale?
Um, there's a lot of great short sale realtors that you can kind of work with that's been around. But normally what you want to do is just call up the lender and say, hey, I want to offer a contract, do a short sale, find out the process and have them send you the checklist. There is people out there that are experts at doing this. But you can do it yourself. You just got to follow the instructions. So you're gonna have to reach out to the lender and find out, get to the right person and find out, hey, what's the process of a short sale? They're going to give you a checklist of everything that's going to be required. They're going to need a contract. Make sure you guys heard about that short sale queen. If you haven't, look it up. So just be very, very cautious of what stuff you're providing to lenders. So somebody was out there, giving some false information and they didn't really have a buyer. They're just putting them under contracts and stuff. So just be very, very careful of that stuff. Cool. But but it is a pretty easy process. Just reach out to the lender. You can find some great deals that way and really do something like this particular deal. I would offer a short sale. Try to get it way down, maybe 180-ish, put 50K into it, you might come out ahead, you know?
100%.
Like on this particular one, you have to kind of get in there. I mean, you have to do a little bit more, but just without looking at the due diligence and everything off the top of my head, maybe do it like $180,000 offer or something like that, but you're gonna have to provide everything, the details, and then you put 50K into it, you'll come out ahead. You'll have some equity in it as long as the value stays there. But at this moment, you're negative, at the as is value. I like to go whatever the as is value. If I'm doing like this type of thing, I'm going 25-30% below the as is. Always where you want to more. I get VAs. You can have other wholesalers, realtors. Realtors are great. I love realtors. I did 18 deals for one realtor in 1 year because that realtor, instead of the realtor, I was trying to have go through different people, different personalities that instead of doing 18 different sellers, they only are 18 different buyers. They dealt directly to me, so it worked out really well. So it looks like we're back on Facebook. So I apologize for the glitch over there, people. So I think we're back over there. So I can't hear you, Matt. You're on mute or something. It's all good.
There we go. So when it comes to the bandit signs, what are you writing on your bandit signs?
I like it simple, easy. Um, and simple. What's amazing is I didn't realize this, but when I wrote my book, I'm going to do a cheesy plug. Can we explain? Yeah, we'll explain innovation in a second. Um, like, see this color here, black and white. I love this on like We Buy Houses. And then the phone number. Like We Buy Houses. I gotta look at my sign. We just simple, like 3 lines. We buy houses. um like fast call, and then just a phone number. I like it big and I like it black and white. I'm sorry, black and yellow, because at night it pops really well with the sign. Then the other thing what I tend to do is I like to put them out on like a Friday at 5 p.m. because a lot of the towns and municipalities are not around. So and then depending on the town, sometimes I may have the person go pick them back up on Sunday or leave them up. But also like long holiday weekends, like Thanksgiving weekend is one of the best weekends because people are traveling and they see the signs, and you can put them up like on a Wednesday and they stay up for quite a few period on that one. So that's kind of what I like for bandit signs. But again, you better check with the municipality, and because certain areas they have some issues with it, and some areas they don't care. They just, don't make sure they're also, when you put them out, you put them out in a good visible area. For me, I pay somebody at the time like $1 a sign when they put them out, and they take photos. So if it's a big intersection, they put like 5-6 photos out. They're making $6 in one stop. Yeah, yeah, we did get kicked out But you're back. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It looked like a software glitch. Sorry about that, John. You're on mute again, Maddie.
You said
So
something
we
about
had a
novations, right?
Yeah, Andrew had a question in the group. Could you explain a novation? What are the pros and cons of the difference versus flat fee? Okay. So novations right now were very popular. Some states are starting to going to have a little bit of issue, but what a novation is you're going under you're going under contract with a seller that but it gives you the right to what's called an attorney in fact. So it gives you the right to sign on behalf of the seller to enter into a new contract with your buyer. You can't close on it, but you can do other things. You gives you the right to be able to market the property in MLS. You're signing on behalf of the buyer, so it'd be um, like Mark Monroe, I'd be signing my name, Matt Atwood, on behalf, Mark Monroe on behalf. So you got to make sure, and you can look it up. I have to pull it up again, exact signature on that, the right language on it. You can also use ChatGPT, but what it does is you're replacing the existing contract. So what you normally do is with a seller, you negotiate with a seller, and it was big for fix and flips. That's kind of where it happens, where that's where it originated from. So let's say you negotiate with a seller. Say the seller, the property as is worth 100,000. Okay, and the seller has a $50,000 mortgage. Okay, you agree to the seller, like, Mr. Seller, at the end of the term, after the HUD and everything, your net proceeds is going to be $50,000. So that's what they're going to get, and that's what you're going to negotiate in your contract. So your net proceeds to the seller is 50,000 because the as is value is 100. You owe 50,000 a mortgage and then 50,000, but the property could be worth 250,000 ARV, after repair value. So let's say it needs $100,000 worth of work. Okay, so you're going to come into or the investor, whoever's going to put 100,000. Now when that work's done, now that property's worth 250,000, right? So now you're paying the mortgage off of the 50,000, the seller's getting their 50,000, and then you could get 50,000 because the difference, because you put 100 into it and then the profit above it. Let's say that you only put $50,000 worth of work and you sell for 250, then your profit is 100,000. So that's how a novation works. So you're not doing a double close. It's actually going to be right on the HUD. So it's one closing between the seller and the end buyer, and then you're coming in and signing an attorney in fact on that. So that's what that means. Did that help? So the con is the downside if a seller, if you're not upfront with a seller, and that's why I always explain and maybe have a third party there, or even maybe record it. I have seen it, like, say for example, the seller's getting 50,000 and you putting all this money in and you're getting 75 or 100,000, you're getting more than a seller. I've seen sellers have issues with that because it's going to be disclosed at the closing on the HUD what profits, like the net to the seller's this, and then I get this. So just make sure they explain it. Hey, Mr. Seller, I'm going to be putting all this extra money into the property. So you're getting this 50,000 in net, no matter what it is. And anything over and above that, because I'm taking the risk, I'm doing all the work, blah, blah, blah. That extra profit over and above is my profit. Cool.
Awesome. Now we got Mark over here asking, do you try to negotiate sellers who are stuck on the price that's way too high?
Follow up. Just make an offer that works for you. Don't make an offer that works for the seller. Don't waste your time and energy, especially in this market. They'll, again, feel the pain. Let them feel the pain and just follow up. 70% of my deals, 70% come from follow up. 70%, where originally they say no, but they're feeling the pain. Again, a deal that we underwrote today. I don't know if you guys were on earlier. Before we jump on this at 7:30, I do a weekly Zoom on Mondays with my members, my group at 5:30. Somebody had a deal in there they brought in, and originally the seller was trying to sell it for cash, higher offer, and it just did not work. So now they're doing a seller financing, and they're going to end up cash flowing on that deal about 850,000, 874, but I'm just saying 850 because there might be some miscellaneous stuff in there, but they're going to cash flow 850. They're going to end up making $107,000 on that deal. Doing a seller financing on a 7-year term. So I like that one.
Okay. Awesome.
And the other thing about that deal, whoever wasn't on before, the investor slash wholesaler is just going to wholesale that thing for 5K. They're going to make $4,000 on the front end selling it through a seller financing, doing it the right way, and still stay in the deal cash flow for $850 a month, and then also make another 35 or $40,000 in the back end. So they're going to make a great spread in that deal. So that's what blows me away. These guys out there grinding it, doing a wholesale, and only making $5,000. And now all you have to do is like 3 or 5 of these deals a year. And if you average it out, you're making roughly, like this particular deal, $107,000, and that's on the low end. Usually my spreads on my deals are anywhere between 150 to 250 over the term on those deals. So, but the reason why this one is only 107 because it's a smaller property. It's not like a $200,000 home, which I like those, quite frankly.
Like, yeah. Okay. Okay. So if you guys are like wanting to get into real estate, or you are in real estate and you just need that bump to help you, Mark has a mentorship program that is going to help you take that next step to get over the hump, whether you're just getting started or whether you have 4, 5, 6 properties and you don't know where to go next and you're tired of using your own money all the time. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat here. This is going to allow you to schedule a call with our team, and with that call, it's just a basically to find out if the program is a right fit for you. We want to make sure that we can service you and we can help you, because we're not here just to take your money. We're here to actually help you get real estate, get properties, and make deals happen. So I dropped it there on Facebook or on Zoom. Dropping it over here on Facebook as well. Go ahead, schedule a call. It's free. It'll take 15, 20 minutes, just asking you simple questions, just to see if it's a good fit. Hop on. It's a great opportunity to get out there and actually take action. We like action takers. Mark, if you're not an action taker, are you going to do well in real estate?
Huh. You have to take action. I mean, well, people here are taking action. That's why they're on here. But a lot of times, if they don't take it, I mean, I'm very selective on people who I bring in, and if I feel they're not taking action, I just don't want to. You need people to take action because we want people being successful. That's first thing. It's motivation in your head. You have to take action. It's real estate. Yes, you can make a lot of money. You can actually become a millionaire in real estate, but you have to work hard, take action. These guys out there like, oh yeah, you'll get $1 million really easy. It can be done, but it takes time. And Mark's got a question there about the 107,000. Like that particular deal, he didn't make $107,000 immediately. That's going to be over a 5 or 7 year term on that, and I'll break that numbers down in a minute. Um, so yes, and Rob saying about mentorships, it's essential for growth. I'm even do mentorship programs or masterminds I do now, but Mark, I'll break that deal down in a second. But I'm always I like to always surround myself with other like-minded individuals and myself. I was in a program for 4 years in a row, and there was only 20 of us in it. And that particular program was $18,000 a year. My program is nowhere near that, but what the purpose is because we're all kind of building a rapport, feeding off each other, and just all working together. It's kind of like that country club. But on that
I
deal there, Mark, when we talk on the phone, I'll kind of break it. I'll explain how it works. But what it was is, what I like to normally do is you go into contract with the seller. In this particular one, we're going to sell it on a lease option or a wrap. I don't know if you know what a wrap is, but where the buyer. So you negotiate down, really low down on the seller on this one. They're only going to get in for about $5,000 into the deal, possibly 10, and then get capital down from the end buyer for a down payment. So you're getting into the deal with money, with no money down, and actually put money in. In this particular case, we're going to put $4,000 in the pocket when it's all said and done after closing, because you're doing one agreement with a seller, then you turn around doing another agreement with a buyer, and then you're staying in the middle and creating an arbitrage. And there's several different ways of structuring that through different strategies of different type of seller financing. It could be subject to agreement for deed, land contract, installment sales. This particular one was straight seller financing because she had no mortgage, and then we'll probably sell it on an agreement for deed, or you could wrap it and sell a financing. There's so many different ways of doing it. But this particular one that we're looking at is because it needs a little bit of work. So we're going to sell it as a handyman special. Instead of asking like a large down payment, we're asking for some down payment to cover to get into the deal and then still put $4,000 in a pocket. Cash flow, $874, but I'm gonna say 850. You do that over 5 years or 7 years, you can kind of run the cash flow on it. And then when they pay it off, because normally what you do is whatever the value as is value, you usually bump it up about 10, 12% because you're selling it for future. So when you look at all those numbers, you're making about on this particular deal, they're making $107,000. One example, they're making 114, but I'm just going to take. I always like to take the lower end. So, and this is what we do. We go through the deal analysis. So we have the call that I do on Mondays. Um, we go through questions and answers, how to raise capital, asset protection, whatever questions that they have, CRM. And then Tuesdays, there's another call for what we call deal analysis, deal structure on all the different deals. And then there's another one for accountability calls later in the week. And then we have a group. So anyways, but yeah, looking forward to speaking, Mark. Appreciate it. Any other questions? I like this.
Awesome. Yes, and awesome, Mark. We scheduled your call for tomorrow morning. Anybody else? We have a few other calls available. Feel free to schedule. It's quick call just to see if it's a good fit for you. Um, there was a question. Where was the question? I saw it somewhere. Maybe I lost it.
Where's everybody from? I'm curious. I'm kind of curious what people's markets
Yeah, I
are
guess we
at
had
work.
more people pop in since we asked that, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
Pop in. I want to see what markets everybody's in. I'm just curious. I know Tashin, he was in the Buffalo market. That's a good market. Mitch was in New Jersey.
I'm primarily in Philadelphia, also in New York and New Jersey. I'm licensed as an agent in all three, and I currently have a couple properties around Philadelphia.
Nice. What kind of properties are they?
They're both
Rentals?
single, yes, rental properties, single families at the moment.
Cool. Cool. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank
That's
you very
this is
much.
this is typically that people like you are the ones that really come in. They've already have a few properties. I get a lot of husband and wives that tend to come in because they've put the 20-30% down and they have all their capital tied up in the assets. So that's kind of what happens with us investors. You know, we all of our capital is tied up and then we're always trying to get more capital and capital partners. So that's kind of how I like structuring mine through seller financing, negotiate lows down as possible instead of going through the DSCR, the lender. How did you structure those? Did you have to get investor loans?
Yeah, yeah. So both of them were investor loans, the DSCR, and yeah, I mean, pretty much I'm in the same situation. I'm looking to get capital, so I'm looking to structure deals. I do prospecting right now. I have a couple deals on the tables, but the numbers don't really make sense. So I'm trying to find better deals, and I'll follow up with those sellers, see if they're willing to come down in the near future.
Florida is the same thing. The numbers don't make sense. When you're saying that, I'm assuming your PITI is not covering the market rents. I'm assuming that's what you're saying.
Oh, I'm not sure. What does that mean? PITI?
Yeah, principal and interest, all your debt load on it's
Oh,
probably not covering.
yeah, yeah, but pretty much not. It's way too low.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the profit.
So then, yeah, there is another strategy you could do. It's called a sandwich lease option on those, where you can negotiate you buy it as a rent to own, based off of the market rent. But that's another thing. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So that's another strategy within the seller financing family, if you will.
Okay, got it. All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. That's what I usually do on those and those numbers when they're not making sense. You can still try to make some money off of it. But I like, but again, if they don't make sense, you throw offers out that work for you. And you also need to make sure whatever offers it is going to cover the seller's debt. I mean, actually, believe it or not, I did a deal one time where the seller was covering it for $200 a month over 3 years out of their own pocket. So it actually kind of worked in our favor. But I made sure the seller had good job to cover that because I didn't want the seller, then I have to come up with a pocket, so out of pocket. So they had really good income coming in. So that's the only reason why I did that deal.
Got it. That sounds perfect. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Cool. Rob, where in the East Coast are you? San Antonio, down in that's a good market as well. Cool. My phone's been blown up. I was in Lake Norman, beautiful area up there this year. Uh,
Lake
Got those
Norman?
doors open. So what was funny is I flew back early this morning and I have friends still there and stuck because all that bad weather coming across the country right now. And Matt, you said you got earlier. I don't know if you guys are on, but Matt got hit with a little bit of storm.
Yep,
Matt,
sure
you got the
did.
baby face going on. You shaved. You got the baby face. Look at you.
Actually, I haven't shaved in 2 weeks, dude. I don't want to hear it.
Really? You look like you got the baby face.
Oh, I do. I do have a baby face. That's the problem. I haven't shaved in 2 weeks.
Your grandmother come up and pinch your cheeks, does she?
Oh, I got the cheeks for it. So okay, um, man, picking on my face, baby
I got you
face.
sidetracked. All right. Anybody else have
Yep.
any good question? Want to talk about? I'll give a little tip about raising capital. Let's talk
Okay.
about that for a second. I love this tip. So, Mark is in a great market to raise capital. San Antonio, I'm not sure if that's a great market to raise capital. So, I mean, you can raise capital. I mean, there's several different ways, but the strategy I was going to give you. But first of all, like the Chamber of Congress, make sure you guys join those things because that the business owners have them get to know you. That's a great source to raise capital. But a little trick that I like doing to raise capital. Who here has ever anybody been to a convention? It doesn't have to be real estate. Let me ask you, Matt, have you been to a convention before that's not real estate related, anything at all?
Yep.
All right. Vermont. Actually, I like that. That's where I'm from. I'm from Vermont. I think you knew that though. But anyways, so you go to I've been to different conventions. Like it doesn't have to be a real estate convention. It could be any type of convention where you stay at and you can go to. Well, just look at whatever your W-2, your 9 to 5 job in the past was different conventions. You fly out, you stay at a hotel. But there was I'm in Boca Raton, Florida. So down in Miami a few years ago, there was a cardiac physician convention, right? I can't get in to the convention because I'm not a cardiac physician. But when you go to conventions, where does everybody hang out? Where do you guys all normally hang out? Type of situation.
Restaurants
You
or the
guys
bar or
exactly the lobby bar network. So I went down there and I just sat at the lobby bar. Just started talking to people. Oh, what do you do? Hey, I do real estate. The physicians, the doctors. Oh, I'd love to get in real estate, but I just don't have the time and energy. Oh, well, come, I work with people such as yourself. And I put their capital to work. So you just kind of build a rapport with them and just start connecting with them, start having them follow you on social media. You follow each other on social media. I ended up raising $475,000 doing that.
wow.
So think of those type of conventions. Go to conventions that are they're out. I like to go outside of real estate, go to high net worth conventions. I also did it in Vegas one year. There was a large international solar convention and a lot of people, majority of the people from all over the world that came in and started talking. And a lot of these people want to come to the United States and invest in the United States. But at the time, you have to put, it may change now with the new administration, but it used to be $500,000. So they would invest $500,000 in some of these syndication type of deals. So keep that in mind. So I love going down that path. So it's another great way of kind of raising some capital. So
Yeah, I
this is
do.
cool.
I do the
Go
same
ahead.
thing with I do. We so right, literally right across the street from my house the um is the Cincinnati Open, which is a tennis tournament, and so we got people traveling from all around the world here just in my neighborhood, and I just hit up every restaurant that whole 3 weeks. I'm always out networking, and I met some pretty cool people doing that.
Yeah. Well, they always say, the key to it is like when you say you're in real estate, I'd love to get in real estate. I just don't have the time. Ding, ding, ding. Well, do you have an IRA? Do you have a pension? Like they can put some of that capital to work. I haven't done this, but I have a buddy that's done this, another real estate friend of mine. He goes to high-end golf courses and just starts playing golf. He goes by himself and he pairs up with people. And when you're on that golf course, going around the golf course, you get to know each other and start talking business. So that's another way. And then I know another guy, he belongs to a yacht club, and that's what he tends to do. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. Throat's getting dry
I
again.
like to buy my way into the right circles a lot of times. So it's easier
It
than
makes
forcing your way in.
It does totally make sense. Because then you're at another caliber, those type of caliber type of thing. So I like it. So looks like I'm gonna have to do a late midnight airport run tonight.
How do you structure those deals? Are those syndications with a managing LLC within the ownership LLC, or is there a different like structure?
Well, yeah, you got to talk to like an attorney on it. Well, first of all, you never want to pitch somebody a deal structure and give them returns if you don't know them. You have SEC guidelines, so be very, very cautious of that. Like when I started talking to these physicians, I never talked about the returns. I just give examples of some deals I've done. So you got to, the SEC has like the three-touch rule. If they're not friends and family, you have to document that 3 different times. So you could
Okay,
do
got it.
yeah. So yeah, I would talk to an attorney because there's so many different ways of structuring syndications.
Hmm.
I've done did 5 mobile home parks last year, and a couple of them were a syndication type of deal. So
Okay.
it can be done. It can be structured so many different ways. Like the general partners has one. It's like think of like buying Amazon stock.
Hmm.
You can buy stock in Amazon, but you can't make executive decisions on the company how it's run.
Yeah.
That. So, and that's kind of how sometimes these
LPs.
syndications are done too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like LPs, limited partners.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay.
Yep.
All
Exactly.
right.
But then you can also structure it as, partnerships in LLCs too. So it
Oh,
depends
okay.
if you have one investor, if you're doing many investors, but you want to talk to a syndication attorney. They're the best
Hmm.
ones when it comes to the proper structure and legal structure of it. Um,
Okay.
so when it comes to legal stuff, I always advise and I always speak. I even speak to an attorneys and all that stuff to make sure
Got it.
everything's all done correctly. In each states and federals, and especially things are always constantly changing. So
Mhm.
you need to make sure that you're relying on experts for that stuff.
All right. Thank you.
Cool.
And sign up for Chamber of Commerce are great. It's a great idea.
Yes, 100%. Yep, that's really good
Nice.
idea. Cool. All right. It's good. Wow. This time's going by so quick. I can't believe it's almost an hour up already.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So I do want to say something. If anybody's in Nashville, I'm going to be in Nashville speaking May 2nd and 3rd, I think, in about a month. Seller financing notes. Let me see what that maybe I think it's the first and I think I'll post it. It's posted in the group. Um but I'm going to be in about a month down in Nashville. So if anybody's in Nashville area, let me know. I'd love to hang out, meet, and talk to different people.
I
So
might
it's
have to
going to
take a
be
trip
very.
down.
There you go. Yep,
Not far.
Nashville. I I went there for my first time a couple years ago. It's a fun city. Good food. Long as he doesn't have me speaking at 9 o'clock in the morning Saturday morning. That's what he did to me last year.
Made you fun. Everybody's still in bed, rolling out of bed after a night
I
out.
I went to bed by 10:30. I didn't go out. I'm like, I'm not going out. If I go out, I know. I don't know if you ever been to Nashville, but it's like Vegas on steroids. It just sucks you in the energy. Have you been before?
I've never been, no, but
It's the energy will just suck you right in, and next thing you know, it's 4 in the morning.
oh,
Rob, let's go.
there you go.
I'll tell you offline. Also, about difference of things in Nashville, but it's just well. Let me rephrase it. It's the bachelorette capital of the world, where bachelorette parties are. So you can, it's just crazy. You see, it's a big, but the food, I love the food. The food area is very good, but you have this one street, it's just packed, and it's just, you get sucked in the energy, great music, really good music. That's where, everybody left California and ended up going to Nashville. So,
Oh yeah,
anyways, but it's
yeah,
good. So hopefully you make out okay there, Matt, with your storm. So,
yeah. We're
yeah, it
doing
looks
good.
like it. Yep. If anybody doesn't have any questions, let's kind of call it a day. It
Yeah,
was a great time.
yeah. That makes sense to me. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hopping in. Don't forget, go ahead and see if that's still there. Yep. Schedule a call if you haven't yet. We have some calls available. This is just to help you figure out if the program is a right fit for you, and we can kind of strategize for you a little bit on how to get things started.
In your suit. All right, Rob. Pleasure. And if you, I have some property, Rob. If you're looking at it, I have some multifamily in Vermont. I might be selling. So hit me up.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Mark. Both
Take care,
Marks.
guys. Mark your mark. Pleasure, Mark. We'll talk to you in the next day on that. So looking forward to speaking. All right, guys. Be well. I'm going to end Zoom. I'm sorry, ending Facebook.